Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to a second training and Q&A session for marketing authorization holders and applicants. This session is not exclusively on the non-cap release like the session on the 17th of October was held. So here the initial plan for today was to really introduce some of the new upcoming changes that we had already hoped to be deployed into production, or we were hoping that most of them would be in the UAT environment, ready to be deployed into production this coming Monday, the 11th of November. Unfortunately, we have had some unexpected delays and some data issues that have taken quite a lot of our attention lately. So some of the features that we had hoped to be ready and available to be displayed today are not quite there yet. However, we did not want to cancel or move the session, so we will go ahead. I'm hoping this will be very, very interactive session, so please feel free to ask as many questions as you may have using the Slido. We'll put the Slido details up on the screen. There. So please do feel free to ask any questions that you may have. And please, of course, as always, you can upvote questions asked by other users in this meeting. And we will then try and address as many of those questions during this session as possible. Also, if you're uncertain on how to use one of the particular areas in the form, this is a good opportunity to ask how to do that, and I can do a live demo of a specific section in the form to show, for example, the search or whatever feature it may be. We'll also look at some of the known issues. In the session of 17th of October, I listed more extensively a lot of the known issues. Today we'll discuss known issues and I'll show some of those, but we won't do a long, extensive part on the known issues. They are listed on the release notes. Majority of them are also detailed on the user guide, but the most important and the most pertinent or the most critical issues we will have a look at today also on the slides. So let's get started. You can find the QR code or the code for the Slido session also from the bottom of the slides if you didn't get the QR code. So please ask your questions. We want this to be a very interactive session. But let's start by looking at our timelines. So just to recap what has happened since our latest release. So in October this year, on the 14th of October to be more exact, we launched all non-centrally authorized products in the variation eAF. So, and we invited all marketing authorization holders and applicants to go to the system and familiarize themselves with the non-cap features and to look at how the products appear in the system. Since then, we have been working hard on various different performance improvements and new features and functionalities. Still in this quarter, one of the biggest changes that we've done in a very, very long time will be the updated present and proposed section. So we're doing this based on a user feedback that we have received that the present and proposed is not very user friendly. I'll show you a very a short sneak peek into one of our very lowest development environments today, how it will be. We're also doing a new UX design at the same time, so that will also be implemented. So hopefully before end of this year, we'll be able to push into production this updated present and proposed section. And then from Q1, hopefully we will be in a position to strongly recommend the use of the web-based application form for all variation applications in the EU. And if we drill a little bit deeper into the timelines, let's have a look at the next slide here. So, as I mentioned, what we've been doing, we have released an updated CAPS in May. And following that release, we strongly recommended the use of the web eAF for CAPS where possible. So we have some limitations, especially related to product data issues where that may prevent the use. We have also released performance improvements. So hopefully you will find the form in the PLM portal behaving much faster and to be more user friendly. And we also updated the product search. But while we were doing all that work, we found some quite severe data issues. Some of them are coming directly from issues that were detected in PMS, in the product management system. And these issues relate to centrally authorized products and to non-centrally authorized products. Some of these issues are not due to a data issue in PMS, but there are some issues related to how the data is then taken by the electronic application form from our internal iris dataverse where the data is held. So we're not taking it directly from PMS, but it comes through another system to the eAF. And in that system, there are some issues that need to be addressed before all the data corrections that have been implemented already in PMS will take full effect in the eAF. We have also found quite a significant number of issues related to organizational data. Here under what we found, we've labeled it as OMS issues, but of course it's not issues as in issues in OMS, but how data from OMS is used across the PLM portal and the iris dataverse. Again, you may find that you log into the eAF and you have no products available for you because they are assigned under different log ID or different organization. You may not be able to do some updates because the data is not exposed in the eAF as expected. So we're analyzing and we're working on ways to try and address these issues. Unfortunately, with both the data issues and the organization, the OMS issues, this can take us some time to address them fully. And it could be that some of them will only be solved towards end of Q1 next year. Even potentially even later. We will of course keep you informed on which kind of issues are affecting which type of procedures or products. But I just want to highlight that we have a number of issues in the system that may prevent you from using the form, even though we're saying it is now strongly recommended to use the web-based application form. During these previous quarters, we also found that there are some bugs in the functionalities related to especially the non-centrally authorized products in the web-based eAF. This is due to the fact that we have had less exposure or ability to test these type of procedures. We didn't have a good quality test data in the lower environments. And of course, at the EMA, we don't really have access to non-CAP applications. So there are a lot of scenarios that are not so familiar to us, which also can hinder somewhat the ability to do full testing of all potential permutations, how the form is being used. And we also found that we still need to do some further performance improvements, which we are in fact implementing as we speak now. Then if we start looking in more detail to this particular quarter and the quarters coming ahead, can go back to the previous there. Yes. So as I mentioned, we have the all non-caps in the eAF. We are also now able to recommend the use of the web-based form for EMA-led mixed cap, non-cap work sharing procedures. However, there I would like to mention a word of caution. There may be some data issues related to the products. So please do see if you are able to fill in the forms for these procedures. But I have found in my testing that there may be some issues related to that. But in principle, EMA is now already accepting applications that contain non-centrally authorized products in addition to the centrally authorized products. And as I mentioned, we are working as we speak. My technical development colleagues are working on the improvements for the present and proposed section and other changes. So this is what we're working on at the moment, and we'll of course keep you updated in the coming weeks and months on our upcoming changes. So just to remind, there are some key actions for all users. So of course, if you are an applicant or marketing authorization holder that has non-centrally authorized products, you may be completely new to the PLM portal eAF. If you don't yet have a role in IAM for your organization, please log into the EMA account management to request a role. Log into the PLM portal eAF and create an eAF to view products available to you. And it's also good to kind of verify that the data submitted to XEVMPD is correctly displayed in eAF. We have one known issue related to this that we'll touch upon later on. And then very, very important, please do read the eAF user guide for navigation. So this guidance document is available in the PLM portal under guidance and of course on our eSubmissions website. So from there, you find very detailed instructions on how to work in specific sections of the form. There are also some known issues and limitations and bugs mentioned in that document. So this should be your first point of call to look if you have any concerns or you're not quite sure how to move forward with filling in the form. Then very important also, familiarize yourself with the system in filling in the eAFs in the portal. It is very, very different from the interactive PDF. So the output looks almost identical to the interactive PDF eAF, but filling in the form in the PLM portal is a very different experience. This may mean that you need to also change processes internally in your company. So it's important that before we move towards the strongly recommended use, you're familiar with the system. You have your login details. You know that your products are available for you to fill in the forms. You know how to share the workload with your colleagues so that you're not trying to edit the same form at the same time concurrently. And you know what to do and where to refer if you have an issue or if you need any help or you need to raise a service desk ticket. Ideally, already now in the production environment, even though you're not allowed to submit in production the web-based application forms to the national competent authorities, start filling in the forms, maybe even parallel while you're filling in the PDF eAF, just so that you can test that the form works in your scenario. If you find issues that are not listed in any known issues, please do provide those issues to us, ideally as a consolidated feedback from your companies and from your industry associations via email to the email address shown here. And please refrain from raising service desk tickets on non-cap issues or change requests that are purely related on the functions of the form, data issues, please, of course, report them, because that's important that we fix them as soon as possible. This is not test data, it's real production data. But any particular feature, for example, I cannot add multiple member states in a proof of payment section for MRP DCP variation. Yes, we know, we're working on it. So please don't raise service desk tickets or even feedback on those issues, so that we don't need to spend time on looking at issues that we're already aware of and we're fixing them already. Then let's move ahead. So here, let's have a look at the most important known issues. So as I mentioned earlier, we have some technical issues and we have some PMS data issues that we have identified. Majority of these issues are already prioritized or planned to be fixed. It's very important to note that some of these issues need to be fixed by different systems. So maybe a fix is needed in PMS, or fix is needed in the IRIS Dataverse, where the data comes into the eAF. So they're not necessarily eAF issues where we can actually fix them, but we're dependent on other teams and colleagues to prioritize and fix these issues. If you have attended any of the PMS or product UI sessions, you will also know that the list of data issues has been presented in those through those webinars, and they also publish regularly the known data issues that may be affecting the portal users. It is also important to note that not all products are affected by these data issues. Currently, only some products are affected. But when I say some products, some of these products are centrally authorized. Some of these products are non-centrally authorized products. So MRP, DCP, or purely national products. And again, only some procedure types and functionalities are affected, not all of the procedure. So there is still a large proportion of products and procedures for which you can use the web-based application for. Then, if you attended the session on the 17th of October, I mentioned that we have this issue related to nullified products. We did indeed deploy a fix in production on the 28th of October. For a number of products, the issue has been fixed and you're now able to continue as expected. Of course, if you had already added one of these nullified products in your application form and you now want to go back to the form and continue editing the same form, unfortunately, that is not possible because you are not able to remove the product that is no longer available in PMS to be removed. So you will need to create a brand new form. Even cloning a form with these products will not solve the issue because the nullified products will travel from the original form to the clone. So if you had a product that had an issue with this nullification, so, for example, packages were under two different medicinal products, then and you had selected that medicinal product into your form, you're not able to remove it. You will need to create a new form. And even though when I say we implemented a fix in the eAF to filter out these nullified products, unfortunately, there still are quite a number of nullified products still present in the system because the data is available in the IRIS Dataverse and it needs to be also purged there before we get fully rid of all of these nullified products. But this is not a majority of the products that are impacted by this issue. We can then go to the next slide. So here, this is another one of, let's say, one of our major issues that we have currently. So some medicinal products have got duplicate data. So this duplicate data could be ingredients, it could be the dosage form, it could be various different product data attributes. These products can be seen in the variation application as an active, valid product. They're available for selection. However, there are data errors behind the scenes. You may be able to detect these errors by logging into the product UI and looking at, for example, the list of ingredients. If you have the same ingredient repeated hundreds of times, then you know this product may have an issue and you may not be able to export the PDF. So there, take caution, and how much I hate to say this, you may have to use the interactive PDF instead of the web-based form. So as soon as you've added the products, before you even continue filling in the form any further, try and do a test export to see if you can, so that you're not wasting time on working on forms that contain products that have data issues. So we're currently working with the larger team behind the scenes from PMS and from Iris Dataverse, and we're currently reviewing the best way to correct these issues. In some cases, we may be able to manually delete the ingredients, but in some cases we're not. So if you are just about to finalize the form and you realize your form is impacted, you're not able to export, do of course raise a service desk ticket. We will investigate if there's anything we can do, but sometimes unfortunately there's nothing we can do to help manually from the back end, and we will have to ask you to go back to the interactive PDF. It is very, very unfortunate. The whole team is upset that this is happening. We're doing our best and we're really trying to solve these issues as soon as possible. But let's see what we can do and how quickly we can fully address this. One of the ways we're currently looking is to remove all ingredients from all of the products for a short time. This sounds really drastic, which basically will mean that when you log into the PLM portal and you're selecting your product, your active substance is not there. So of course you wouldn't be able to search the products based on active substance. For centralized products, you can use the product name, the MA number, the EMA HC number. So these are always good attributes to use. You can also use your company name. So you don't necessarily have to use the active substance to search for the products. And while the active ingredients or the active substances will be missing from the eAF, you can still go forward and use this web-based form to submit in production. We have tested. You are able to export and finalize. The form, of course, the field for active substance is empty, but EMA would not reject those forms because we know that this is an issue in our database. But we will launch more communication on the next steps as soon as we know what the final agreement is, and if we're going ahead with removing all the ingredients to fix this issue, and how long these ingredients will be missing from the system. And then finally, we have this issue with the Cyrillic characters showing in the full presentation name. This is not actually a data issue. This is a reflection of what we have in XEVMPD. So please remember that the messages with special character must be sent from XHTML view to avoid adding these question marks. So if you've come across a product that has these question marks, this is something that you will need to fix yourself, or ask, of course, your XEVMPD colleagues to fix it and then resend the data to XEVMPD. So this is not something that we can fix from our side. So this is an issue with the data that has been submitted. So that's all from the known issues for today. You will find more known issues listed in the user guide and in the release notes. And we will, of course, keep on updating those documents regularly. So then if we look at the next steps, so here, our next production release as per plan is next Monday, the 11th of November. We will be launching an updated application list. So I will briefly give you a view of how that will look. We're also hoping that there will be some data fixes implemented soon, but for that, I'm not able to give a date yet. If you attended the previous session on the 17th of October, I mentioned that we will be getting the application contact person section multi-select for member states in October. Unfortunately, we've had some delays. It's coming, hopefully now in November, but it is not ready yet. And also, as I mentioned earlier, the present and proposed section, for which we will be having a quick look now. So I will now share my screen to show you both the updated application list and the updated present and proposed section. So I am starting to share. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Great. So as opposed to something that I just tested before this session, and now it's not working. Let me try again. Just one moment. Where's the it should work. Just one moment. Let me try and share again. The demo effect. Let's see. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
There. So now it's too far here. So this is the new product list. So it looks slightly different. You have everything there. So you have the edit application, view application, you've got all the functions, you can rename applications. So nothing really changes feature wise. It is just a performance improved section. Here you can open a form and edit it. Here you will now very soon see the sneak preview of our new present and proposed section. So here I will pause this for a moment. We have also now, with our adoption of agile ways of working, we have decided to implement in this section only new UX design, so new user interface design. So this will look completely different from the other sections. So you will see that the background color, the left panel, all look very, very different. Don't be alarmed when it comes live. It is as per design. So we also want to test the new UX design, but for now it is only in this section of present and proposed. So here you can see it looks quite different. So what we have done, you still of course have your different sections on the left-hand panel. It just looks very different. So you saw in few screens earlier that I was here. Then when we continue and I move into the proposed changes, did the whole screen, the UX changes. We have brought in the precise scope and background for change into the same page. So you don't anymore have the harmonica, but it is all on the same page, which means you can conveniently save at any time. Then when we move to the actual present and proposed changes, you can add a new one by clicking at changes. Please note that this is a video that was taken from a very low environment. So it is not working exactly as it should. Here, for example, there was a loading of the products because our developers are working on the background. So that's why there are some unexpected behaviors, but hopefully it will give you an idea how it looks. So we have added an ability to give section titles. So for example, in the present and proposed, you may wish to detail, just like you can do today in the interactive form, like repeat the text boxes multiple times. So you can give them a name, for example, the section number of the SMPC or the product leaflet. You can add another one. You can save at any time, and it won't take you back to that harmonica like it does today. So hopefully this is a significant improvement. We have also implemented a way where you can expand maybe just a proposed section or just a present section. So you have a full screen where you can work. You've got a lot of space to make your changes. So it will become much more user-friendly. Of course, here, please note that there are issues in this because it's under development at the moment, but I'm hoping just to give you a glimmer of hope that changes are coming, and hopefully these changes are for better. So here you'll see I've added a section now for the product information. You can, of course, edit your present and proposed, and then you can, as usual, at the organization. Now, there's no longer such a concern of losing the changes that you've done because you can constantly save by using the save button on the screen. You can go back and edit, view, so it will become a lot more flexible and user-friendly. So here in the outline, you can also minimize the left panel. Unfortunately, that feature is not yet there or is being amended at this very time by the developer. So I couldn't show that in this short video that I took of the section. And but just to show you, this is how you use this section. I won't spend too much time on this, and you can always save when needed. And here is a final display of how to add an organization or continue editing this section. So now the organizations have also been added into the same screen, so it becomes more user-friendly to select present and proposed organizations in case there is a change. And as you can see, it's also performance optimized, so it is working faster than previously. But that's just showing something that will be coming in future. It's not there yet, but hopefully not in too distant future, we will have all these nice changes implemented. And with that, we can now continue with the presentation to look at the very final slides before we move into the questions and answers. So just to note, we have another Q&A clinic coming next week. So if you have any questions, be it like, I don't know how to search a product, can you show that live? Please join the clinic. We'll do all of that there. Any question that you may have, feel free to join. And of course, we always record these sessions as well. We also have a public system demo coming on the 12th of December. So eAF will be presenting all the changes together with all the other value streams and other products from the value stream. And we are also planning a lot of upcoming training sessions and information webinars related to the new features and functionalities, for example, related to the new variation regulation entering into force in January 25. So I think we should move to our Q&A. On this slide deck, there's details how to raise tickets, what you should do, and where you can find all the information, but the slides will be published on the events page, so you can find all that information from there. And we also have a colleague from PMS, Marcos Fernandez, has joined us. So also, if you have questions that relate to some of these data issues that I mentioned earlier, Marcos can also help us to address those issues.
Okay, thank you, Christina. So I think we can start with the first question, which has been voted 19 times. So when it is recommended for NAPs from Q1 2025, when would they be mandatory, and how long will the transition period be?
Yes, indeed. So the strongly recommended use will start from Q1. When the mandatory use will start is fully dependent on when we will have fixed our critical data and organizational issues. So the OMS issues that are not really OMS issues, but relate to organizational data in the forms. Once we have solved all those issues, and once we have received feedback during this kind of more optional period of use for non-centrally authorized products, we will be launching an external UAT. Maybe we should rebrand. It's not really a user acceptance testing. It's a final confirmation test by end users in the production environment to say, yes, I can use this web-based eAF for all the scenarios that I may have, so we can confidently launch the transitional period, which will run for 6 months. At the end of that transition period, we will then move into mandatory use. When exactly that will happen, unfortunately, I'm not able to give exact dates today.
Thank you, Christina. So next question. Was there any national agencies' feedback on using new eAF, and are there any national recommendations or issues or comments?
Yes, we have, of course, national competent authorities working with us in a role of subject matter experts, and we also have a product owner from national competent authorities who we've been working with very closely throughout the whole development process for the web-based eAF. We continue liaising closely, and we will try and take into consideration any particular feedback or requirements where we can from the NCAs where relevant.
Okay, next question then. Is it possible to include more than one present and proposed row per category as it is possible in the eAF currently?
Yes, absolutely. So this is one of the big issues that we have in the current implementation of the web-based application form today. It's not possible like it is in the interactive PDF. So we're indeed addressing that. You will be able to include multiple text boxes below. It will become very nice and user-friendly to edit. You can even drag and drop the sections back and forwards. You can give as many sections as you need to. You can, if you have a kind of block of changes for different variation categories, you can select multiple like you can today. So we are indeed adding that kind of flexibility that the interactive PDF has today and more. So it will become even more user-friendly than the interactive PDF, because of course, as we are hopefully starting to implement some structured changes also in not too distant future, we want most of the data be included in the form instead of just see annex, and then we have to go and look at a separate document. So this is hopefully a major improvement, and we will of course listen to your feedback once it becomes live if it requires further enhancements.
Thank you. So next question is, I am an MAH and I have a DCP where my company is applicant in an RMS and another company with the same DCP is applicant in the CMS. How can I retrieve in the product selection field of the platform the product in the CMS from the other company? The product is concerned by the application.
Yes. So in our webinar on the 17th, I addressed this a little bit more, but you would need to be affiliated to both of the companies. If you're affiliated to an organization, you have an ability to see the products for that particular organization. So it really depends on your, let's say, global organization structure. If you're affiliated to just one of the let's say daughter companies in the national competent authorities, or to all of them. Alternatively, if your internal policies do not allow you to be affiliated to different organizations, you can invite colleagues to edit the form. Again, depending on your access rights, whether you are a coordinator or a manager or just a co-author for an application, you have different access rights to forms. You can invite other colleagues to edit forms with you, but depending again on the access rights that those colleagues have, they may see all the products in the application or only limited number of products in the application. So they may be only able to add their products, but they can't see the products that you've added. So this is explained also in detail in our registration guide, which is also published on the PLM portal and on the eSubmissions website.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the next one. It is suggested to verify that XUMPD data are correctly reflected in eAF. Is verification of the PMS alone not sufficient?
Unfortunately, not in all cases, because there are some issues that actually are no longer present in PMS. So it could be that a fix has been implemented in PMS. However, there's an issue in the iris dataverse where the data is coming from. So the data is reflected the same way in the product user interface, the PUI, and in eAF in most cases. However, there may be even some specificities how data is displayed differently. So I would invite the users to check the eAF. Even if everything looks perfectly correct in PMS, there may be some data issues in the eAF.
Thank you. So next question, what about in case of work sharing and super grouping, how other companies can find my products?
Yes, so this is a little bit a similar question as the one in relation to the RMS CMS. So in order to find products affiliated or belonging to another company, you need to be affiliated to that particular company. You or the user who is adding the products need to be affiliated to that particular company. That affiliation can be in general for all of the products of your sister companies, or it can be just that you're invited to edit a particular form to add particular products into that. So we have various levels of user access, coordinator, manager, and co-author. And depending on the affiliation to different companies and whether you are a manager for another company, you will see the products. But if you're only a co-author, then you will have a lot more limited access.
Perfect. Then next question. Has the EMA ever considered to put the PLM and the eAF project on hold until all the known issues are solved, instead of forcing the industry to work with insufficient systems and listen to webinars each week about not functioning systems?
Yes, I understand. This is really it's a difficult decision. So, of course, unless we are using the application, we may not find these issues. In fact, some of the PMS issues that we have found only surfaced because we are using eAF. Some of these OMS issues only became apparent by actual real life use of the system. So when we are testing, we have different access. So as an EMA tester, we are affiliated to EMA. We may see all the products of all the companies. So the issues that real life actual users are finding are in fact different from the issues that we are finding. I fully understand, and I really feel sorry for those users who have taken the initiative and wanted to use the system and then are prevented after maybe spending quite some hours to fill in a form, and then suddenly they cannot export it because there's an issue. I would like to assure you, we are really listening to you, but we really need to work together. It is also maybe one of the issues or the benefits of this agile way of working, that we will find the issues. But what is very important to bear in mind, not all products are affected by some of these issues, and not all features are deficient. So we have very large number of products and procedures for which there are no problems at all. So we receive more than 30% of the application forms that come in production for centralized procedure do come using the web-based application form. And for most of those cases, there are no problems at all. Yes, there are problems. We definitely accept that, and all I can do is to apologize. But pulling the system out, saying don't use it, stop using it, let's hold on and fix all these issues, because we may not be able to find out if we fully have fixed them if we're not actually using them. So it's a very, very difficult call to make. But we do appreciate your patience.
Thank you, Christina. So next question. Currently in Italy, it is mandatory to submit a signed eAF in PDF and XML via national portals that DCP, MRP, and MP variations can be evaluated by IFA. Is it possible to download the web eAF in PDF, signed it with scanned image or other PDF signature, and create XML file to use it as usual on ITHA portal?
Absolutely. Indeed, it is. So today, and in general, the process of submitting to national competent authorities will not change. So once you have filled in the form, the final step is always to finalize the form. When you click to finalize, this means that the form will be exported. There will be a PDF rendition that contains a Fire XML attachment through which the national competent authorities and EMA can then feed our internal case management systems. So you can definitely export the PDF. You can sign it using ADAS compliant digital signature, an Adobe signature, or even include an image of a signature like you can do today with the interactive PDF. And then you can proceed to submit it. What we are also working on is a feature called integrity stamp. So hopefully, again, cannot say an exact date, perhaps before end of this year, before end of first quarter, we will have implemented this integrity stamp, which means that when you finalize the form in the PLM portal, the export already includes a digital signature from EMA to confirm to the regulator that a registered user has generated the form from the PLM portal. And this should hopefully be accepted by all national competent authorities as a proof that it is a legit form. Additionally to that integrity stamp, it will still remain possible to sign the forms.
Thank you, Christina. The next question, could you please touch upon the variation approval flow and how and when will updated data be shown in PMS?
Certainly. So here there are variabilities depending on if we're talking about centrally authorized products or a non-centrally authorized product. So as one could say, as today, for centrally authorized products, upon approval of the change, the updates will normally flow into, well, today into SIAMET, in future into IRIS RPM, and from there into PMS for certain data fields, not for all of them. We are also working with product UI colleagues to enrich on the ability to edit PMS data. There will be enrichments, but then there will also be further structured data features in the eAF where the structured data can be fed back to PMS and updated always through variation procedures. For non-centrally authorized products, our team of national competent authorities is working hard on this target operating model on how the data updates will flow into PMS. This work is not yet finalized, but once we have further details, I'm sure they will be communicated and agreed.
Thank you, Christina.
Sorry, Christina, I would like to add something here.
Certainly,
Yes.
Marcos, and
So,
I think Hudele also.
As Christina said, we are working on this target operating model, and then we will try to use the eAF to update the product data after a variation. But for the moment, the only way we have to update PMS is either from SIAMET, as Christina explained, but also from XEVMPD. So after a variation, if the data that has changed is impacted or is an XEVMPD field, then you still need to submit this update to XEVMPD, and from XEVMPD we will receive this data in PMS. So processes has not changed. You still need to keep the XEVMPD data up to date, and then from there, the updated information will be reflected in PMS.
Yes, thank you, Marcos, and thank you, Christina. Coming some feedback from the group that is working on the target operating model. So the HMAs, so the heads of medical agencies, have asked if and where NCAs can also intervene in this or help in the target operating model of PMS and qualified data. And we definitely distinguish between legacy data, where it's going in the direction of maybe qualifying a limited subset of data on every product, but IDs to be finalized, etc. But the target operating models, the future, and I'm not talking about the data already in, but changes, so variations or also new products, there we definitely look at eAF to then update PMS and have a qualification of NCAs included. But how and when, that of course needs a lot of discussion and then development. But yeah.
Thank you very much, Marcos and Hudele. And indeed, the point about XEVMPD submissions is very, very important. He really highlighted again that in the webinar on the 17th of October. So I would like to invite everybody to review the video if you weren't able to join that session. The recording has been published on the event page, and also the slides from that particular session are already available. These slides that we are presenting today will be, of course, published on the event page. They are not there yet, but hopefully, if not today, early next week, they should be there So as always, they will be made available, and the recording will be made available as well.
Thank you, Christina. So we can take a last question, I think. When web-based eAF will be mandatory, and from when the applicant could submit with the web-based eAF?
So that indeed is a good question. So what is the difference between strongly recommended and mandatory? So the mandatory use, we are hoping to launch for all products and procedure types at the same time. Sometimes I get questions, well, why don't you just make it mandatory for CAPS and for other procedures later? Because we have shared procedures, so we don't want to complicate the matters too much. So we are hoping to do all of this together. Maybe we'll have to split that. Let's see. But we don't today have an exact date when the web-based eAF will be mandatory. Potentially next year, towards end of next year, I would say. But I cannot guarantee this yet. As I mentioned earlier, we need to solve the data issues. We need to solve the issues related to the data access. And only after that, we will be able to start that final confirmation test that the form is good enough for all scenarios. And only after that, we will start the 6 months transitional period towards the mandatory use. However, when you can use it, we are already strongly recommending the use for centralized procedure and for EMA-led work-sharing procedures containing CAPS and non-CAPS. For non-centrally authorized products, you can start submitting these forms from January onwards. Why we say only from January and not already? Because I'm also at the same time inviting you to use the production environment and start filling in those forms for non-CAPS. Is because we have the updated variation regulation entering into force on 1st of January. We are currently implementing changes in the web-based application form and also in the interactive eAF to ensure that the new rules related to supergrouping and mandatory work sharing are reflected correctly in the form. So we wanted to align the launch with the strongly recommended use together with the new variation regulation. This is also to avoid having to implement very complex data rules into the forms, because you could have submitted the form in December, but you need to submit an update in January, and then those old rules would still need to apply, and that would have added a huge amount of complexity and taken a huge amount of development time. So we wanted to ensure that instead of doing that, when we're only talking about potentially a few weeks, we will start the actual use for non-centrally authorized procedures from January, in line with the new variation regulation.
Thank you very much, Christina. I think we have reached the end of our session. So if you just want to say a few words for closing, and just as a reminder, you will find both the slides and the recording of this session published on the event webpage soon, probably next week or as soon as possible. Thank you for joining.
Indeed. Thank you all for joining. Please note the Slido will remain open. So if we didn't have time to answer your question live here today, please keep that Slido open and check. We will address your questions in writing. Some of them would have been already addressed in writing by my colleagues while I've been talking. And of course, the intention is, I know that we've had a minor delay, not so minor even, from the session on the 17th of October. That Slido is also still open. We are addressing those questions, and we will publish a Q&A document reflecting all these important questions and answers, which will be then made publicly available. So bear with us, please, but we will definitely answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you all.